First story. My delusional daughter got bullied by 3 girls at school for her underdeveloped body. They physically assaulted and yanked her hair. So I punished my daughter, forced her to shower at school with the same girls to build confidence, and told her to move on. But my entitled daughter is still miserable and acts like a victim. And I'm done with her gullible arse. Throwaway because my sister-in-law reads my mail. I have 45 have a 14-year-old daughter named Tessa. She's always been a little emotionally high-strung, if I'm honest. She's bright and creative, but she overreacts to a lot of normal life stuff, especially around school. Honestly, it's been an uphill battle parenting her through middle school because everything turns into some dramatic ordeal. For some context, Tessa is a late bloomer. She's just now started puberty, while most of the girls in her grade seem to be way ahead physically. This has been a big insecurity for her for the past year, or so. She compares herself constantly to other girls, especially on social media. We've had to restrict her TikTok time more than once because she spirals emotionally after seeing what other girls look like. That said, I've never encouraged her to coddle her insecurities. I've always believed the best way to raise a confident girl is not to validate every single feeling, but to teach her to push through discomfort. Life is uncomfortable sometimes. Not everything can be catered to your emotions. My husband Tessa's dad disagrees with me on that, and has always been more of the talk-it-through parent. But I'm more firm. Anyway, about 2 weeks ago, the school sent out an email informing us that, starting immediately, all students will be required to shower after PE due to hygiene complaints. Apparently, the warm weather has made the locker rooms unbearable by lunchtime, especially since PE happens in the morning for most classes. The showers are communal, not stalls, and this was all outlined in the email. The school asked that we send towels, soap, deodorant, etc. with our kids on gym days. No opt-out mentioned. I saw the email, and it makes sense to me. Kids get sweaty. Nobody wants to sit in class next to someone who reeks. It's a matter of public hygiene, and frankly, I think schools have gotten too lax with this stuff. I told Tessa she'd need to start bringing her shower stuff for gym, and she immediately flipped out. Said there's no way she was going to get naked in front of other girls. I tried to tell her everyone's doing it. It's just part of growing up, and they're all in the same boat. She got more upset and started yelling that it's not fair, and that I don't understand what it's like. Here's the thing, this isn't the first time she's acted like the world is out to get her. Last year, she refused to wear shorts for all of May and June because she said her legs were too skinny and kids made fun of her. I let that slide. Then in 6th grade, she cried for 3 days because she got her first pimple and couldn't show her face in public. It's always something. I feel like I'd be doing her a disservice if I kept letting her opt out of life because she's uncomfortable. Discomfort is not the same as danger. I told her point blank that I wasn't going to email the school about it because they made the policy for a reason, and hygiene isn't optional. If I emailed every time she didn't want to do something, she'd never go to school again. My husband, on the other hand, thought I was being too harsh. He said he remembers being uncomfortable at that age too, and that maybe there's a compromise like her wearing something in the shower or asking the school if there's a stall option. But he didn't press it too hard at first, probably because he didn't want to contradict me directly. So the next few days were tense. Tessa kept begging me not to make her do it, and said she'd rather stay sweaty or use wipes or something. I stood my ground. On Thursday night, I made sure her bag had a towel, flip-flops, soap, deodorant, everything she'd need. She cried and slammed her bedroom door, didn't come down for dinner. I told my husband I wasn't backing down on this, and he kind of just shrugged and said, "Okay, but be ready to deal with the fallout." Well, Friday came around. Tessa went to school with her stuff. She looked miserable, but I figured once she did it once, it would be fine. Rip the Band-Aid off. She came home around 3:30, and I knew something was wrong right away. Her face was red, eyes swollen like she'd been crying for hours. She didn't say a word to me, just went straight upstairs and shut her door. I waited a bit, then went up to check on her. She finally told me what happened. Apparently, a couple of the more developed girls had giggled and mocked her while Tessa was showering. It completely broke her. She said she felt humiliated, that she tried to cover herself, but there was no way to hide, and that some of the girls were staring at her and whispering the whole time. She said she cried in the bathroom for 20 minutes after gym and didn't eat lunch. I told her I was sorry that happened, and I meant it. Teenage girls can be vicious. But I still think she needs to toughen up. I told her, "You're beautiful, and anyone who makes fun of you is just trying to make themselves feel better." I also said this won't be the last time someone's mean, and the best revenge is to act like you don't care. She begged me again to email the school and say she won't participate in the showers. I asked her, "What exactly do you want me to say?" That my daughter is too emotionally fragile to shower like everyone else. There's no medical excuse. And again, this isn't about her safety or health. It's about discomfort. If I let her avoid every uncomfortable situation, she'll grow up thinking the world will always accommodate her emotions, and it won't. At that point, she yelled, "I hate you," which sure was hurtful. But she's 14. They say that crap. I told her I wasn't changing my mind, and that we'd find a workaround like maybe a swimsuit. She said that would only draw more attention to her. Honestly, it's like she doesn't want a solution, she just wants out. Now it's the weekend, and she's barely spoken to me. She didn't come down for breakfast today, didn't eat dinner with us last night. My husband has been giving me the silent treatment too, which is making me feel like I'm the only adult in the room. He keeps saying, "It's one email, just send it. What's the harm?" But I feel like that's exactly the problem. That kind of thinking is what leads to kids expecting the world to accommodate their every whim. Where do we draw the line? So I said no. Again. I told my husband it's not just one email, it's the principle. You don't teach a child resilience by letting them back out every time something's hard. Tessa didn't get physically harmed. She got embarrassed. That's life. I told him we're not raising her to be special, we're raising her to function. He said, "She's 14. She's literally asking for your help." And I said, "And I'm giving it to her." He walked away. He hasn't brought it up since, but he's clearly pissed off. He took Tessa out for ice cream Sunday afternoon, just the two of them, and when they came back, she slammed her door and didn't say a word to me. He just said, "I think you need to reevaluate what you're doing here," and went into his office. I'm not reevaluating anything. Tessa has always had a flair for drama. When she was in 5th grade, she pretended to be sick for 3 weeks straight to avoid swimming lessons because she was too flat. I eventually called the school nurse and told them to stop sending her home unless she had a fever. Miraculously, she recovered. This is a pattern. She dodges uncomfortable situations by going nuclear emotionally and hoping we cave. I've never raised my kids to think the world is soft. She wants to be treated like an adult. Then she can handle a shower with other girls. I'm not asking her to do anything dangerous or degrading, just basic hygiene. That's all this is. And no, I don't believe the school should have to bend rules for individual kids unless there's a diagnosed issue. If I email, what do I say? My daughter is uncomfortable and wants to smell bad the rest of the day. That's not a valid reason. And for the record, nobody else is complaining. We're in a big parents' WhatsApp group for her year, and not a single parent has pushed back. It's just Tessa, which to me says more about her than the school. She's been refusing to pack her PE bag for tomorrow. I told her fine, I'll pack it for her. That set off another meltdown. She said she's not going, she'll skip school. I told her if she does, she'll lose her phone for a month, and she can forget her summer plans. She got quiet real fast. I'm not being cruel. I'm being consistent. Kids need structure, even if they scream about it. If my parents had let me wiggle out of everything that made me cry at 14, I wouldn't have lasted 2 days in college. Look, I get that some people think this is harsh, but to me it's common sense. Hygiene is non-negotiable. Facing social embarrassment is part of being a teen. I can comfort her and support her without lying to her that she never has to do hard things. That's not how the world works. But now my husband won't let it go. He says she's not eating properly. She's anxious every night before bed. She's withdrawn and doesn't even want to hang out with her cousins next weekend. He's accusing me of emotionally damaging her for one shower. Says I'm being stubborn for no reason. I told him he's being manipulated by her tears, and that this is exactly how she's trained both of us in the past tantrums until she gets her way. He said maybe the problem isn't her manipulation. Maybe it's me being unable to back down, even when I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. She's clean. She didn't die. And yes, maybe she's embarrassed, but that passes. That's part of growing up. Now everyone in the house is acting like I'm the villain for enforcing basic rules. I didn't hit her. I didn't scream at her. I just told her to shower after gym like everyone else. That doesn't feel unreasonable. So, AITA. Comments. Comment 1. Okay, this is layered. I don't think you're malicious, but you're parenting from a place of fear that your kid will grow up weak, dependent, fragile. So you're overcorrecting. You're not hearing her because you've already decided what her motives are before she opens her mouth. That's dangerous. Tessa isn't asking for the world to change for her. She's not refusing gym. She's not asking to skip school. She's saying, Can I have some privacy while I shower? That's not manipulation. That's boundaries. And you bulldoze them. Also, you're not in competition with your daughter. This isn't about who wins. But your post reads like it is. Like every time she's upset. It's a test of your authority, and you have to hold the line. Your husband sounds like he sees the emotional temperature here and is trying to de-escalate. You're dismissing that too. That worries me more than anything. Comment 2. I'll be the minority voice here and say the school's policy is already bullshit. Communal showers should have been retired in the 90s. This isn't about hygiene, it's about lazy policies and institutional control. So yeah, the school sucks. That said, you're still the here because your kid came to you with a vulnerable, deeply personal issue, and you turned it into a battle of wills. You decided your hill to die on was, she needs to toughen up. And now everyone's miserable. You say she wasn't harmed, but look around. She's isolating, not eating, not sleeping, and literally begging for your help. That's harm, lady. You even say she has a history of spiraling, so maybe instead of slapping a drama queen label on her, you consider that she's a 14-year-old girl going through puberty late, being mocked naked, and having no say over her own body. Jesus Christ. You parent like someone who thinks empathy is weakness. It's not. Grow the F up before you push your daughter, so far she stops coming to you for anything. Comment 3. IDOWorkHereLady and missing obvious solutions. It honestly blows my mind how many other options were right there, and you refuse to even consider one. No shower stalls. Okay, so ask for alternative arrangements. Schools do this all the time for modesty, religious beliefs, medical anxiety, bullying history. You don't need a doctor's note to simply say your kid needs privacy. Could've. Asked for a private stall time. Asked if she could shower in a nurse's bathroom. Requested PE at the end of the day. Switched her to another PE section with different shower timing. Talked to a counselor about bullying prevention. Or yes, sent a damn email. But instead you decided the lesson here needed to be, life is hard, get over it. And now her exact worst case scenario happened. The girls laughed. She cried alone in a bathroom. She's shutting down. And your takeaway is still, this will make her stronger. No, you didn't teach resilience. You taught her that when she is deeply uncomfortable or humiliated, her mom will say she's being dramatic and force her to do it anyway. That sticks. And not in the way you think. AITA. Update. So I guess I'm back. I didn't expect the amount of responses I got, and honestly, some of you were outright insulting. I'm not going to respond to every person calling me abusive, or a narcissist, or whatever dramatic diagnosis you feel qualified to toss around. But I will address what has actually happened since the original post. After the weekend, Tessa did not pack her PE bag like I expected. I reminded her she needed to. She ignored me, so I packed it myself. We drove to school in silence. She got out of the car without looking at me. Her father didn't say goodbye to her either. He looked exhausted. He's still giving me the cold shoulder, but I'm not going to emotional grovel to soothe him. Anyway, when I checked the school portal later that day, I saw that Tessa skipped PE entirely. She went to the nurse's office claiming a stomachache. Nurse wrote that she requested to lie down, stayed for nearly the full period, then returned to class. Pretty clear avoidance. Exactly what I said would happen. I told my husband and he said, maybe she really felt sick. I'm not an idiot. She was avoiding the shower. That night, my husband asked if we could revisit therapy. He thinks she's developing an anxiety disorder. I told him that labeling every intense emotional response as a disorder is how kids become unable to function in the real world. I said she needs boundaries, not a therapist telling her feelings are the highest law of the universe. We argued. He slept in the guest room. 2 days later, I found out she had been faking notes from the nurse to avoid PE entirely. She wrote email drafts under the nurse's name and tried to get the attendance office to excuse gym days. They caught it. The school notified us. So there's your, she isn't manipulative argument blown to dust. That day was when things escalated. When she came home, my husband asked her directly what was going on. She immediately broke down crying. He went to hug her. I told her we weren't yelling and nobody was punishing her, but we needed to understand why she felt so desperate to avoid gym. She didn't talk. She just kept crying. That's when my husband said, let's check her. At first, I thought he meant fever, but he gestured to her, meaning her body. I thought it was extreme, but he had already put his arms around her, and she didn't resist. When she lifted her shirt, there were bruises along her ribs, like someone had grabbed her hard. There were red scrape-like marks on her upper arms, and on the back of her scalp, at the nape line, there were small patches where hair had clearly been yanked out. I froze. I did not know what to say. My husband reacted first. He got very quiet, which is worse than yelling. He asked, "Why didn't you tell us?" And she finally spoke. She said if I told anyone, they'd do worse. She meaning one of the girls in her shower group. And apparently, there are 2 others with her. This is where everyone here probably expects me to break down, apologize, admit I was wrong, etc. No. What I felt was rage at the situation. Yes, but not at myself. I was angry that my daughter hid it this long. I was bullied too. Not physically like this, but I was taunted and pushed around and I fought back. I didn't run. I didn't cry to my mother. I handled it. And I told her that. My husband snapped at me when I said that. He said, "Do you hear yourself?" And I said, "Yes, I do, and I stand by it. What I am doing is escalating this." I emailed the PE teacher, the vice principal, and the school counselor with documentation of the bruises and hair patches. I took photos. I also made it clear that if there is not an immediate investigation and consequences, I will be contacting the district and potentially pursuing legal action. The showers are obviously not being properly supervised if girls are being grabbed and assaulted and nobody notices. I also requested that the 3 girls be removed from Tessa's PE group and that Tessa shower, either in a staff bathroom or at a separate time, or not at all until supervision is guaranteed. So for everyone who said I refuse to advocate for my daughter, I am advocating. I just wasn't going to do it because of feelings. I am doing it now because there is actual wrongdoing. I am still angry that she didn't tell us sooner. Because maybe we could have caught this before it escalated to physical assault. She let this grow in the dark. I can't protect her if she hides things and expects me to read her mind. My husband apologized to her. He sat on her bed and hugged her and told her he was sorry for not stepping in earlier. Then he looked at me like I'm supposed to apologize too. I didn't. I told her, "I am sorry you were hurt. I am not sorry for expecting you to do what you were supposed to do. I will handle the school. But you cannot hide things from me and then expect me to fix them before I even know they exist." She didn't say anything. She just nodded. And before anyone tries to paint me as some cartoon villain, I sat with her. I stayed in her room. I brushed her hair where it wasn't pulled. I told her she is not weak, and she needs to learn from this, not collapse under it. I am not raising someone who falls apart every time the world pushes her. I am raising someone who learns to push back. That's where we are now. School meeting scheduled for Thursday. I will update after. Comments. Comment 1. I need you to actually hear this, even if you won't accept it. You weren't wrong to escalate with the school. That part was necessary and overdue. You were wrong about everything leading up to it. You forced a child who was already vulnerable into the exact environment where she was being harmed. And you did it while telling yourself you were teaching resilience. That's not resilience. Resilience is built by having at least one safe adult who listens, protects, and stands with you. You positioned yourself as an obstacle she had to push through, not her safe person. Then you got angry that she didn't tell you she was being hurt. But you gave her no evidence whatsoever that coming to you would lead to safety. Her past experiences with you taught her, if I show weakness, I'll be told to toughen up. So she didn't show weakness. Your daughter didn't come to you because she knew you'd minimize it. And you proved her right by being angry at her. You don't have to apologize for your parenting philosophy in general, but you do need to acknowledge that your approach prevented her from asking for help in a moment when she desperately needed it. That's the part you refuse to look at. Comment 2. Okay. I work in a school. Let me explain what went wrong in plain terms. The school screwed up with the communal shower policy. No supervision plus no privacy = predictable bullying. The girls who assaulted your daughter committed an act that should be documented and addressed formally. No debate there. Your husband tried to keep things stable, but didn't push early enough. Your daughter hid the abuse because she was scared. But you did something I see often in parents who grew up tough. You confused survival coping with strength. You say you fought back. You didn't have anyone to help you, so you became someone who didn't ask for help. That's not strength, that's trauma wearing a work uniform. And now you're applying that same logic to your daughter and calling it teaching resilience. Resilience isn't suffer and shut up. Resilience is, I can ask for help because I know I'll be protected. She didn't know that with you. You don't have to grovel or collapse emotionally. But you do need to change how you respond when she is vulnerable. Otherwise, she will simply stop coming to you at all. Comment 3. I was exactly your daughter. Late to develop, physically smaller, insecure, and I got humiliated in locker rooms too. The difference is, my mom believed me the first time I said something felt wrong. She didn't treat my fear like weakness. I didn't learn, life is hard, and I have to toughen up. I learned, I have someone in my corner when life is hard. And that is why I turned out confident. You're acting like your daughter should have come and told you about the bullying, but from her perspective, why would she? Every time she shows vulnerability, you treat it as failure. She wasn't scared that you'd be mad at the bullies. She was scared you'd be disappointed in her. Your reaction proves she wasn't wrong. The fact that you found bruises, hair missing, and your first emotional stance was anger at her is a lot. You don't need to apologize for not seeing it sooner. But you do need to apologize for making your daughter feel like she couldn't come to you. Until you do that, she's alone. Even in a house full of people. And nobody gets stronger by being alone. They just get quieter. Update. So, yes, the school investigated. They sat us down with the PE staff, the counselor, and even the principal. I presented the photos, the emails, everything. And they took it seriously. The girls were suspended. One was moved to another homeroom. The PE teacher, gone. Not retired, removed from locker room duties, and now reassigned to something else. And Tessa was given full private access to a staff bathroom for showering, no questions asked. So for everyone saying I wasn't protecting my kid, I did. I fixed it. I handled it. I made sure nothing like that will ever happen again. That's what a parent is supposed to do. But apparently in my house, that's not good enough. My husband, the one who couldn't make a decision about anything when this started, has now made himself Tessa's emotional savior. After the meeting, I came home to him telling his entire extended family about what happened. Not just the facts. Every gory detail, laced with commentary like, I wish I'd stepped in sooner, and I regret not standing up to me more. And of course, his mother jumped in, followed by his sisters, and suddenly I'm the villain in a family group chat. They said I owe Tessa a public apology. For what? For not reading her mind while she hid bruises under her clothes and said nothing. And now, after everything was handled, after I did what they all wanted and made the school step up, Tessa doesn't want to go back. Not just to gym. Not just to PE. The whole school. Says she's not ready. Says she doesn't feel safe. That people are whispering about her. That she can't face the girls, even though they've been suspended. She says she needs time. My husband is fully on her side. Says we should let her stay home and recover emotionally. Suggested we give her the rest of the semester off, since it's May anyway. I said no. I said the exact same thing I told her. The world doesn't stop when you're uncomfortable. That's not how life works. That's not how you grow. I even offered compromises. I bought her hygiene wipes so she doesn't have to shower. I gave her the option to change clothes privately. I told her she could skip lunch and come home early if it helps her ease back in. She refused all of it. Says she can't. I said she can. She just doesn't want to. Big difference. The breaking point came when I walked into the living room and found my husband and daughter looking at applications for another school. Some charter place 40 minutes away. They'd already emailed admissions. Just decided, without me, that they were going to start fresh in the fall. I said absolutely not. That school is too far, too disruptive, and frankly, unnecessary. Why would we uproot our lives when I just made sure this won't happen again? Everyone in the building now knows who my daughter is, and that she is not someone to be messed with. She's protected now more than ever. People are on notice. And what does she want to do? Hide at home. Let the fear win. Start over somewhere new where nobody knows her, which sounds noble until you realize it just means she's letting what happened define her. I won't support that. I won't let her grow up thinking the world will cater to every trauma if she cries hard enough. I said it to both of them. I didn't go to war with that school, get staff fired, get bullies suspended, just so she could drop out. No, she is going back. She is going to finish the year. She is going to walk into that building with her head up, because the message has been sent loud and clear. You don't mess with this girl. But of course, I'm the problem. Now my husband barely speaks to me. He's sleeping in the guest room again. Tessa acts like I'm some villain from a teen drama. His family keeps calling to check on her, like she's been through a war zone. And I'm sitting here trying to hold this family together, while they all treat me like the one who caused the damage instead of the one who cleaned it up. So yeah, AITA? Because from where I'm sitting, I did everything right. I followed the school's hygiene policy. I enforced boundaries. I didn't cave to emotional manipulation. I responded when it turned into something serious. I took action. I protected my daughter. And now, somehow, I'm the one being isolated. I didn't expect a thank you. But I didn't expect to be punished for doing the job no one else was willing to do. So tell me, am I really the arsehole? Comments. Comment 1. YTA. You think what you did was protection, but what you actually did was wage a war to prove you were right. You didn't protect your daughter, you weaponized her trauma to feed your own ego. You're so obsessed with being seen as the parent who handled it that you didn't once stop to think about whether your daughter even wants that kind of reputation. You think the other kids are scared of messing with her now. Great. Now she's just the kid with the psycho mom. You won what? A school policy fight? A petty moral pissing contest with teenagers. Congratulations. Meanwhile, your daughter's terrified to walk into a building. Your husband can't stand to be in the same bed with you. And your in-laws are practically lining up to stage an intervention. But yeah, tell yourself you're the strong one. You're not strong. You're emotionally tone-deaf and incapable of admitting you messed up. Hope your husband grows a spine soon. At least one of you should be parenting with compassion. Comment 2. YTA. You're proud that you won against the school. But what exactly did you win? A child who's scared to go back. A husband sleeping in the guest room. A daughter who now sees her mother as someone who only shows up after the damage is done and then expects applause for it. You didn't step in until the bruises showed up. Before that, you dismissed her fear, called her dramatic, made the whole thing about hygiene and resilience. And now that you've muscled the school into action, you think your job is done. That now she should just walk in like some alpha girl boss and command respect because her mom got a teacher fired. You keep talking about how the world doesn't accommodate feelings. Okay, but a family does. A parent absolutely should. You're not raising a CEO. You're raising a teenager who just got assaulted, mocked, and emotionally steamrolled. And instead of building her back up, you're dragging her by the collar back into the same arena and saying, "Go fight again." You didn't protect her. You reacted late. Then you congratulated yourself for fixing what you helped break. Second story. My husband got hit by life and lost himself. So I gave him an ultimatum to get employed or lose me and our baby. Now he is in prison, and I don't know what I'm going to do. To try and sum this up as simply as possible, he got fired from a great job in January. Since then, he has tried maybe 2 or 3 odd jobs. None of them were very well paying or lasted more than a couple of weeks. He has contributed less than, maybe $2,000 to our family this year. We have 2 two-year-olds together. I've made about all the sacrifices I could to keep us afloat. Went into CC debt. Worked 2 jobs at times. I make about $53K a year and work extra odd shifts for OT. But yeah, I gave up having an apartment this past summer because of accumulating debt. Recently, my parents offered to watch the kids more full-time, so I don't have to pay for daycare, which would allow me to afford to support the 3 of us somewhat decently and get an apartment. I told him that if he can't get a job, like anything, I'll even take 10 hours, just something to help me, that he can't come with us. I can't support him either. He has no disabilities that would prevent him from working. I know it is a tough market, I know that. But we are coming up on a year, and I just can't stomach him being at our apartment doing nothing while our kids are taken care of so we can work. In any way possible. So if he can't do this, is it fair for me to say he can't come with us? Edit. About why I was paying for daycare. To clarify, I had my kids in a 2-day educational program. It was hard to afford, but I was doing this for their benefit. They are smart and deserved hands-on experience and the social aspect. My mom has offered to take this over for us until I am more financially secure. So not daycare, more like a school curriculum. I switched from a WFH position earlier this year for more pay. Up until that point, I was the kids' primary carer and working and finishing a degree. It has been a crazy year of transition. I'm just tired and confused, and I just want stability for myself and my children. I've grappled a lot with what is best for my kids. I'm new to the whole school/daycare thing, trying to do the best by the kids. He is a good dad. He loves them. He is failing me as an equal partner. Oh. Comments. Comment 1. I'll even take 10 hours. Stop begging for the bare minimum. All it will do is teach him to do the bare minimum. And even that will only be in short bursts. He's going to do just barely enough until you let out a sigh of relief. Once you're off his arse, he'll stop even that little bit of effort again. Live separately, until he can prove to be a functioning adult again. Right now you're treating him like a teenager. Comment 2. Yep. If he doesn't have any medical issues, he needs to be full-time, at least. The fact that OP had to juggle multiple jobs, going to school, and being WFH, but handling childcare at the same time is insane. 10 hours. I'd be demanding a divorce by this point. He isn't a good dad if he isn't able to financially provide for his children at all. It'd be different if they agreed to him being a sod, but it sure doesn't sound like it. I'd say separation. He gets something that has him working full-time hours and couples counseling minimum to prevent a divorce. This is crazy. Update. I wasn't honest in my first post. Just like I'm not honest and lie to most people in my life right now. I guess it is the unbelievable amount of shame I carry. It is true that my husband was fired in January. The real reason is because he had a workplace injury the previous summer. He completely tore up his knee, had major surgery, rehab. The company was extremely helpful in his recovery. Then his prescriptions ran out. Found out later, he started buying pain pills off the streets. Which, yeah, isn't oxy whatever. It's basically just fentanyl these days. So as a consequence of a ramping up addiction, he could no longer hide, and I had kicked him out. Then he got fired. He went through periods of inpatient and outpatient care and therapy and Suboxone, maybe and drugs for depression and drugs for anxiety, and everything else we could think of. And all the while we were living separate lives because he was a danger to children. Why am I still so attached? How the F were any of us supposed to foresee this happening? You fall deeply in love. You get the ring and the kids. Life is going pretty well, always with its challenges. But that is just like life. It is effing hard. I'm not even sure what the point of my post was. It didn't really make much sense because, yeah, he is an able person. Why can't he just get a job? Come on, dude. Or be a stay-at-home dad. You all, I would have loved to give him that privilege. If only. But people with substance issues can't really keep a job. Definitely can't be around kids. A lot of people read my post. Took time out of their day. Most of it was just criticizing us. But I mean, that is what everyone does to everybody most of the time in real life too. Still, I have been feeling some type of way about it all being based on a lie. I want a life with him. He does love his kids. This isn't how it was supposed to go. Then, to top it all off, he has, because of his addiction issues, caught a slick 5 charges in the last 5 or so months. He's been wrecking cars, first his, then whatever family was stupid enough to allow him to drive them. Legally isn't allowed to drive. After I posted this, he got arrested for driving without a license. I already wasn't sure how in the effing world I could salvage our relationship. Love was the only thing keeping me from cutting him off completely. His family and I are going to push for him remaining in jail and prison, and hopefully get him placed in hopefully a more substance recovery-based program. But y'all know how F-ed the US prison systems are. Most likely he will be general population, get even worse mentally, and, God forbid it, may eventually be saying final goodbyes. My priority at this point has passed protecting him and moved on to protecting the general public from him. For now, at least he is safe. If you consider jail prison safe. Which I sure as SHT don't. But at least he won't OD. Right. Repeat to myself. It is out of my hands. Just like this whole experience has been. F y'all, I don't even know anymore. My family says they are proud of me for holding it together. I'm sure they are disappointed in a lot of things I've done. Not just keeping the door open this long. I've been so dumb throughout my 20s. I know I can do better in my decision making. Most of all, I want stability for my children. I've decided that I will be serving him with divorce papers once he gets officially sentenced. It is just a damn shame. I love the person he was before all this chaos so much y'all don't even know. Him holding our 2 little twins in the hospital. The dad who cried when I gave him a card saying, "Baby, I loves you, and we'll see you soon, Daddy." This was after something like my 20-month scan. I can't specifically remember now. Then I handed him a second card that said, "Baby B loves you too and can't wait to meet you as well." I cry every time I think about that. I'm crying right now. How do I accept that I can't have that life with him? I just don't know. I'm just so heartbroken. In short, yeah, we will be moving into the apartment without him. We will be moving on completely in life without him. Maybe one day he can join us again. And we will have more special and meaningful days. Maybe not. It's out of my hands. I appreciate y'all. Y'all can tear me up for all this. That's perfectly fine. I deserve it too. I'm not a saint. I've said horrible things to him throughout this time. I have been so angry and resentful about how this past year and a half has played out. But I'm ready to finally move on. I'm just going to leave this here and probably not return to this account. For those of you out there that are dealing with anything like I have, I'm so effing sorry. It destroys not just the addict's life, but anyone who cares about them. As long as you care about them. And it isn't ever easy to say goodbye to someone you love. Not in normal circumstances or the extreme. Just know that you are not alone. I tried Al-Anon, but wasn't able to establish a community. There are resources and genuinely caring people and support out there if you need that. Take care, y'all. Comments. Comment 1. That's a heavy and heartbreaking story. You are very strong. Also, suffering such an injury must be a heavy hit. We are all just people. I wish you all the best, even in those dark times when light is scarce. Be here for your kids and yourself. Don't hesitate to ask for help from whoever you can. You don't have to face this alone. Find therapy if you can. And if you still have energy, be here for your husband if you want to. As a person that worked with addicts, having family that cares about you is an absolute game changer for such a person. But again, put yourself first. Comment 2. You need therapy. Comment 3. A lot of it. Comment 4. You need to protect yourself and your children. You made the right choice. You can't be his nurse or nanny. You should break it clean. Don't leave the door open for him, and let him beg to come home when he isn't ready. Make the divorce official. If he gets himself clean and 100% back together, you two might not be together, but like you said, at least he'll be alive. Maybe one day, he can be that good person again, but he's got to expect that you might be remarried by then. You can't dangle yourself out there like a carrot. Some people don't get help until rock bottom. He can't hit rock bottom if he thinks you'll pick him up. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.